Just jumping right into it. Hey Jacob, you know where we're at right now?
No.
We're we're in the On Thin Ice podcast studio, the same
Oh,
room, but
yeah, we
my
are.
audio is different and it sucks. But I have the more scenic background.
You're right here next to me on this side. I'm
Yeah,
look
and
I'm
you're
looking at you right now in the same room.
and I you probably not. Hang on.
Actually, no, you were. That was weird.
Oh sweet. I hey, that joke get old?
It will.
Pretty bad still. Yeah.
It's never good.
Welcome everybody to the podcast on Thin Ice. If you have not been here before, this is the show where Jacob and I, the biggest and only two stars of Cosmic Pizza, there was nobody else, come together every Monday to discuss icebreaker questions and get a conversation going. And then we usually run off on some kind of wild tangent. Uh, but it usually starts with us recapping our last week. So, you been up to anything, old buddy, old pal?
I've been playing a lot of Helldivers
Yeah.
and a lot of World of Warcraft.
I didn't see the WoW stream just because that doesn't pique my interest, but I have seen you play the Helldivers, and that looks like a pretty sweet game. Yeah,
Dude,
when you jumped into it
it's
and
fun.
started it, I was confused. I was like, he knows what he's doing. What's happening?
Yeah, that is very rare for me. I'm absolutely garbage at games most of the time, and I'm garbage at Helldivers too. But it's just a fun time, dude. As Toby put it best, I think Toby basically said that this is what he wants video games to be. Like, obviously not the same thing every day or every time, but like it just feels fun to play a video game again, and it just hasn't felt like that in a long time for him anyway. And I can probably say the same thing. Other than World of Warcraft, I do that kind of, that's my own thing, so I do that anyway. But Helldivers is pretty fun, especially for a shooter. I'm
Yeah.
just not into shooters really, but dude, it's fucking crackhead energy, dude, and I love every second of it. Now
I
I've
think
got
Toby said it. I think Toby said it best when he said they're in the trees. The trees are speaking binary. When y'all are
yeah,
fighting fucking robots in the jungles of Vietnam.
yeah, the automatons are rough, dude. They hurt a lot. But dude, I've been waiting for you to text me and be like, "Hey man, I got Helldivers. What's your friend
I,
code?"
I want to, but it's like $60 because it's a brand new game, I
No, it's not.
think.
40
Oh,
bucks.
well, 40.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a physical copy of it. I refuse to do digital downloads anymore.
Oh, I don't know about I don't know about physical copies, but I know I got it for 40 bucks on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah, well, yeah, the other thing is if it's a game that I'm like not super into, maybe it's worth the digital download, but I just with the lawsuit that PlayStation's going through and everything and my take on not having physical copies of media in general, I just goes against my nature, I guess.
Dude, I'm telling
But it
you,
looks
man,
like
it's a
fun. It looks
fun
like a
time.
lot of fun.
I
Maybe
bet
by the time this goes up, we'll have played together. Who knows?
probably it wouldn't surprise me, dude.
Could have conned me into it.
You are my only friend that has not texted me and said, "Hey, I got Helldivers. Jump into my game with me." Toby got me into it, and now I've got Skylar hounded me to play. I got Derek to play. Kelby is playing. Chicken Pop Tart himself. My buddy Matt,
Man,
he just fucking Snapchatted me yesterday or this morning or something. It was telling me to play with him, dude. I got a whole squad and a half, two squads almost. Cheeks, dude. I already talked about this on the from the Crypt podcast that we got going up this week, but Cheeks joined at the last second, like we were just about to extract, but
dude, he made you guys look like bitches. He came in and rocked that fucking game, being a
nope,
level one player. I thought he did pretty
dude,
damn well.
he jumped in when on level one when we had switched over to challenging mode for science,
Yeah, into the
and
thick of it.
yeah, into the thick of it, and then he stood underneath the pelican that was coming to extract us and died.
Oh
No, he didn't make us look like nothing.
man, it just. I mean, I'm watching your stream, so it looked like he wasn't calling anything out. Like he was dying a whole lot. He wasn't. getting overly frustrated with it. I thought he just came in on level 1 and was killing it.
No, he's killing himself.
Yeah, and you two were killing each other with that friendly fire. You got rockets inbound that are one-shotting each other.
Dude, the friendly fire is wild, dude. The friendly fire is crazy. Like, we found out the hard way about all the different things that can kill us, and a lot of it is us.
Yeah. Man is his own worst enemy.
It's cool though because it forces you to kind of position better and like strategize a little bit better and actually keep an eye out for where your team is. Like Call of Duty, I don't have to worry about that. Zombies, I don't have to worry about that. But this is like it forces me to think more strategically on where I'm putting stuff, where I'm aiming, all that kind of stuff, which in most games, most shooter games don't have friendly fire nowadays. I know there's a couple of them, but
It forces you to care about other people.
yeah, it forces me to have empathy.
Can't be doing that. Hey, I too have a video game update.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I have been doing some extensive fucking research, my friend. I've been looking into emulators recently, specifically handheld consoles that are emulators.
Really?
And yeah, because I've been really wanting either a DS again or something that can emulate DS games, because that's the path I found, is that people have actually found ways that you can go and download DS games, systems that will play DS, NES, Game Boy Advance, up to fucking GameCube, PS1 games, shit like that.
Right.
That led me down this whole field into looking into systems by the company Ambernick. So like you've got a system called the RGB 35X point fucking two whatever, just crazy shit that keeps ending up on my TikTok feed, and it's usually really good quality stuff. But I was looking for something that I could do DS games and GameCube. Couldn't really find anything that could do a GameCube, and people were recommending to just get a DS, specifically the 2DS, the original model, not the XL, because it's built like a fucking brick,
Yeah.
and it's a newer system, and to get some shit for it. So I'll just go ahead and spoil the ending here. I have a Nintendo 2DS now, and
Nice.
I fucking love it. The screens are so small though. It's
Yeah.
really hard to actually enjoy playing games on this.
That's why
But
just get a Switch, man.
yeah, you see, I could do that, but those are way more expensive.
Yeah, they are. They're
Like
ridiculously
triple the
expensive.
price. They're making the Switch 2. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they're not doing like a whole revamp shit. They're just taking what was good and keeping it, and what was bad and fixing it for the Switch 2.
Interesting. I'll have to look into that
Yeah.
because I am very into the Switch. However, I'm not into handhelds, so I 9 times out of 10 play my Switch on the TV anyway.
Okay, well, I
So
this was the only good part of my childhood, was my DS Lite and my 3DS that I upgraded to. And what's so fucking sweet about these is that you can get what's called an R4 card. Mine is a specific company, Azure Dual Core. It's built just like a Nintendo DS game cartridge, except it comes with
SD card,
this little micro SD card. This one's
nice.
32 gigabytes specifically. And if you like this one, the package I bought, it came with um, micro micro SD to USB adapter, so you can plug in this little thing into your USB, put it in your computer, in my case my laptop, and there's a shitload of different websites where you can download NDS ROMs, which
Right.
are, yeah, it's a whole library, over 60,000 fucking DS games
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
free. For free, Jacob,
That's
for free.
that's fucking sick.
So I downloaded all that. I unzipped the files because I know to do that from my coding class. I'm doing all this crazy tech shit like a spy kid. And and then as soon as you copy all the files over into the correct folder, because this one they actually, like, huge shout out to the company. That you can find that on eBay. A little R4 Azure 32 gigabyte. I think it was like $30 after shipping. And yeah, you can just copy the files over. You load this thing up, turn it on, and you've got all your games there downloaded, and they play just fine.
Hmm.
So I've been grinding the Force Unleashed. I've got Call of Duty World at War on here, and it's just as fucking bad as it used to be. It's so
Jesus.
great. I can't wait. I have all the Lego games on here, and I cannot wait to play them.
Yeah, I never really got into handhelds. I know a lot of my friends did, and I had a Game Boy Advance, and I played the shit out of Super Mario Bros. And um, I had a fucking Harry Potter game, I think, and I had a couple of the Sonic games, but I don't know. I never got into it personally, except for when it was like a really big deal to have a Game Boy Advance. Obviously, I played the shit out of it, and um, I think I got a PSP. I still have my PSP somewhere. It's in a box, but it doesn't work anymore. I'm just
Oh, that's sad.
I'm sentimental like that. But I played Medieval Resurrection, which I know got a lot of flack because everyone was like, "Okay, we wanted a medieval on the PSP. Sure, that sounds like a great idea, but what the fuck is this?" Because it was like a remake, like it was like a remake and a half kind of thing. Like they remade the game, the first game for the PSP, but they changed a bunch of shit in it, and everyone was like, what are you doing? So it didn't sell very well, which is why it surprised me that they remade Medieval 1 on the PS4 when it came out, or not when it came out, but on the PS4 later in its lifetime, which was awesome, was very well received. They had the same voice actors and shit for the same voice clips. They actually just enhanced the voice clips from the original game into the updated version of it. It's the exact same game, but it looks so much better. It plays so much more smooth. And keep in mind, Medieval 1 is a PlayStation 1 game. So
Yeah,
it went from PS1 to PS4 style. Like,
that's a
everything
big
is immaculate.
remaster.
Yeah. And they built it from the ground up, but exactly how it should have been on the PSP. And
That's freaking sick.
yeah, it was good stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just never got into handhelds. But I initially got the Switch because me and my fiance at the time, we kind of just wanted to give it a shot because she liked handheld stuff. I liked stuff on TV, so we're like, hey, it's kind of built for us. Fuck it, let's go ahead and get one. And then we had like game nights and shit too, where we had friends over. So we're like, yeah, hell yeah, we get Mario Party and Smash Bros and shit, and we can have go wild. But I never really got into handheld aspect of it. I always play it on the TV.
Yeah, I grew up poor, and also I don't know if the divorced household had something to do with it, but going back and forth between two places, it was nice to have a handheld console with my video games that I
Yeah.
could play and kind of just pull out any time and do it. And of course, when I was a kid, that shit was mind blowing. I'm still pretty certain that Black Ops Zombies on the DS is the scariest and hardest zombies that ever will be. There are
Yeah.
no perks, and it's a one hit down system.
Oof. God
Yeah,
damn.
it's fucking nuts. The highest round
God
is like
damn.
10. But
That's
the
awesome.
end game for that, now that I figured out how to do that, my wife Lou, I got her a 2DS or not 2D. I got her a DSi XL like 5 years ago or so at a pawn shop, and it still works and everything. So I went ahead and ordered another R4 card so we can play Call of Duty on the DS together.
Hell yeah.
Play our Lego Harry Potter.
Nice. That's
It's gonna be
awesome.
fucking sick. That's my video game update. Um, Other than that, today was a really big day for me. Your boy finally, I taught my first lesson with an observation.
Oh yeah.
So my field supervisor came in and watched me teach today, and it was very scary.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, going over Julius Caesar, and we're still on Act One, Scene Two. Talking out my ass the whole time. It felt like I had my notes and everything out. I'm trying to get kids to participate. I've got a class of six sophomores, and they don't talk too much. They talk enough. They'll still interact with me, but I just felt like I wasn't getting much from them at all today. And Michelle asked my observer. She asked me afterwards. She's like, "How do you think it went?" I'm like, "Dog, that was fucking rough." And her first thing is like, "These kids talk so much today. These talk more than any other group I've ever seen." I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And apparently there's other students who have had whole classes that won't say a word. Just
Damn.
no engagement, no student interaction, and I guess I did okay with it. So
There you go.
pressure is not off, but it's relieved a
Yeah.
little bit because
I,
this shit is stressing me out more than it ever has.
how do you think it went? I'm gonna keep it slick with you, son. I don't think it went too well.
You were there, you tell me.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, Doc. I'm pretty sure I'm dying right now.
I'm pretty sure I failed that one. Yeah, the first thing she comes in, she's like, "Do you have a printout of your lesson plan?" I'm like, "No." Did I need one? She's like, "Yeah, yeah, you did." I'm like, "Oh, okay, here we go."
Good to know.
Yeah, that's cool. That's sweet. But now I'm in this I'm getting into this crisis mindset where yeah, with only a year and a half left of college, I'm thinking, do I really want to teach?
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh no.
It's so overwhelming being in the classroom and thinking about all the fucking little things that you have to think about. It's just so much, and the work that you have to put into it is fucking crazy. And my reading capability, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, I am probably one of the slowest readers ever, especially for my age and my occupation. It takes me about 2 to 4 minutes to get through one page in an actual novel.
It takes me a while to read too. I'm a slow ass reader.
So like I've got right here, even though this is a fantastic book and I'm loving it, Flight Behavior by Barbara Kingsolver. Please go read it. It's a 433 page book, and I did the math. It's going to take me 28 hours to read through it.
Yeah, that's why
Most kids in my
that's why I prefer audiobooks.
Yeah, most kids in my class are churning through this in about 4 hours max.
Nope.
And it's
Couldn't
it's
be
the
me.
most defeating thing in the fucking world because those kids talk about doing shit on the weekends and having a good time and they love to read, and I'm losing my shit because every second that I am awake I have to read or I'm falling behind.
See
What's
this?
that book you got there?
Sour candy. It's so small. Okay.
Is it edible?
No. It's actually don't. As a matter of fact, don't eat it. It is terrifying. But 74 pages. That's it.
Goddamn.
And I read it in it took me like 2 nights to read it, even though this could be something that somebody could probably read in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But I guess I left on purpose. I did it in 2 nights because I didn't want to read the whole thing in one night, but I read like half of it one night, and then the next night before bed I read the rest of it. But I would recommend as well. I just was pointing out that I am also a slow ass reader. It took me a while for no fucking reason whatsoever. But this was very good. It's just a short story, and it's super creepy, super scary. If you're into some eerie, fucked up shit, dude, check it out, and it'll definitely make your skin crawl.
Yeah. Well, I know why I'm a slow reader. It's because when we had conferences back in middle school, I would just read the back of the novel or I would get a summary online and then I would just spill that out to the teacher and they were like, "Yeah, okay, that is what the book is about."
I would read the most
So,
cliff note ass shit I possibly could on it and just answer the questions accordingly.
so yeah,
Educated guess that shit.
I think I stopped reading pretty much in 5th or 6th grade
Yeah.
and I didn't pick up reading again until college, and that has destroyed me fundamentally.
Oh,
Keep reading, people. For the love of God. If you hate reading, you are not reading the right book. You haven't found your thing yet. That's all
Yeah.
there is to it.
I will say that the more I do find myself reading a lot better and a lot faster if I am currently reading a book. Like I'll start out really slow, and if I've been with it for a couple of nights in a row or something, I'll find myself being able to pick it up really fast. So it is just a matter of doing it. I mean, the more you do it, the easier it's going to come and you're going to be able to read faster and shit. I've got several books. You probably can't see them, but they're like right there on my nightstand. There's
Yeah.
2 of them that I was going to read. I have not gotten around to them, and I have one over on my bookshelf called Black Metal Rainbows that I started reading on the way to Rhode Island because I was not driving for the last bit of it, and I was like bored out of my fucking mind. And I had packed my Switch to play.
Yep.
But it was in the back. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just go ahead and pick this book up. And I started reading that. It was really good. But that's nonfiction, though. So it depends on what you're into and all that kind of stuff. But I'm into black metal. I'm into people being progressive, and that's where it meets in the middle. So I was like, fuck it, I give this a shot. You know, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and it's
Yeah.
by several authors. So I couldn't even tell you who all is written in it, but
But yeah, there are things for everyone out there, and like if you're worried, like, man, how am I gonna just pick up a whole novel and read it? Start with sentences, go to paragraphs, go to chapters if you can, or pages before you even get to chapters, and just start it. And if you feel yourself at a stopping point, stop, put it down. Don't quit, but just pick it back up again later when you feel like doing it. As long as you're not just
forcing
dismissing
yourself.
all books because one of them just isn't vibing with you. I've got hundreds of comics and graphic novels that I could recommend all day long. If you want a much simpler read, I've got challenging shit that's actually really entertaining. It's just about finding the right thing, I feel like. But reading more, it unlocks like this uh fucking, I don't even know, like a key to the universe. It feels like you, because you're taking in all these little pieces of information, and if you read more classic shit or popular stuff, then you're getting access to these like quotes and memes and whatever references people make. It's nuts. It's actually pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I would honestly, dude, I actually just talked about this in my most recent full upload. I did a reaction to Taliesin Nevatel talking about the new uh, Voices Within short stories collection that Blizzard is releasing before the new World of Warcraft expansion, and it's a collection of short stories. And for me, someone that does not like to read a lot or often, I like short stories. Short stories just are very nice. They're very easily digestible, and if you're someone that doesn't like to read but you do want to read a little bit more, you know, just for the sake of it, to give your brain some fucking juice, start with short stories, man. I'm telling you, short stories are a really good starting spot. And like I said in that video, you can like pick up a story, read it. You don't have to have read any of the other material. You can start on any story you want because they are individually capsulated stories. Read that one story, and if you liked it, dude, pick another one for the next night. You know, don't like overload
Straight up.
yourself with shit. And yeah, dude, short stories are lit, and I'm here for it. I'll definitely be getting the Voices Within when it comes out. One of my favorite things of all time to read was Cthulhu Lives, which is just a collection of short stories set within the Lovecraftian style mythos. Has nothing to do with Lovecraft himself, but a bunch of other artists came into that genre, put a bunch of these little short stories together, and it's phenomenal. And some of them are fucking terrifying, and it's great, dude. I love it. I love every second of it.
That's sick. These are just the facts. So, hopping into the episode, right? Because we haven't started recording yet. Now we're doing it. Hey man, look, I want to be a teacher, right?
Maybe.
And you're a college dropout.
That's
So
the
what I
best
want
way
to
to put
talk
it.
about, keeping it on the train of talking about education, I want to know, and I want us to discuss what are some classes that we wish were taught in schools. It can be high school or middle school stuff, lower, whatever kinds of things you would like to see our youth being educated on. Now that we're fully formed adults, of course, and we know everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. So upon trying to dig for this particular thing, when you said, "Hey, think of some classes and shit," I was looking at some of these and I'm like, man, you know what? I bet you a lot of these do exist, but they're optional. And that's where I have a hard time with the education system, because some of these classes should not be optional. If you're going to have a public school system where you're going to teach general education to the youth of today, some of these things should be mandatory, or stuff that is incorporated into other classes that are also mandatory. And
Yeah.
like the big ones obviously are like how to do taxes, how to like how insurance works, how just general like laws and stuff should be taught a little bit more frequently and thoroughly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would have been cool to get some stuff on how stocks work or investing or anything like that. Like, those kinds of things, yes, probably exist in classes, but they're not mandatory. Trust me, I was doing my best to take only the mandatory classes I had to get through school because I fucking hated school. And those are all big ones that, yes, I learned a little bit about after I had graduated, after I had gotten out of school, but it was stuff that I taught myself, and dude, it is fucking awful. I hate listening to that stuff. I hate learning about that stuff. You know what the last thing I want to go home and do is fucking look up YouTube videos on how taxes work. Like, that's not what I want to do in my free time. I wish they would have taught me in school. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
business stuff as well.
I've got two things on that for you. When you said they have to be they should be mandatory. We also, you and I would actually, I don't know about your. Oh, there go the dogs again. Cool. Can you hear them in the back?
Barely. Like,
that's crazy.
Barely.
All right, but you got to think about location. If you're in a rural area with a rural school district, students have a lot less access to those important things.
Dude,
I mean, my graduating class was 100 people, and we most certainly had a fucking old ass one-story building. I had kids in my college class talking about taking escalators to get up to classes. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Two stories?
Yeah. My graduating class was like over 700 people or some shit like that.
Okay, holy fuck. Never mind. You might have had more opportunity. Did you grow, like, was your school in a city or a bigger district?
I went to Western Branch High School in Chesapeake, Virginia, which, yes, is in a city. It's not like New York or anything like that, you know. It's not that big, but Hampton Roads area or whatever is like a culmination of 4 different cities, and each of them roughly have like 240,000 people in them. So that times 4, I mean, it's a big area, and it's along the Virginia Beach coast, you know, so fairly big area, and lots of people, lots of opportunities. Yes, it's a big place to, and honestly, Virginia's public school systems, like, I'm pretty sure ranked pretty high in America. So, I mean, we had good education, don't get me wrong, but again, I went to these schools, and I'm telling you right now, a lot of the things that I wish I would have learned in school, I wish would have just been in mandatory classes, especially for kids like myself, dude, because I didn't like school to begin with. However, I still had to learn something because I was in school, right? So if a lot of this stuff like taxes and insurance and investments and business and stuff like that was just kind of baked into some of my other classes, or maybe, I don't know, put a little bit more emphasis on, I would have learned a lot of that stuff while I was in high school, which would have been perfect. That would have helped me out a lot in life. And it would have taken a lot less time going home and looking up YouTube videos on how to do my taxes, or how to invest in stocks, or how to do this and that and this and this. I don't want to look that shit up when I'm, you know, an adult and trying to figure it out in the middle of it, you know what I mean? I'd rather just learn that shit in school. In the mandatory part of school, you know, the high school part, and I get it, you know, some people don't have that ability, or some people will drop out of high school and they have circumstances that obviously are out of their control sometimes. But look, for the majority of kids that hate school or don't want to be in school, I'm willing to bet you a lot of them would have benefited greatly from having to learn this stuff mandatorily instead of as an optional class. And yeah, we had them. We had classes on business that you could take, or finances or whatever. But dude, like, it's almost as bad as like teachers saying that you're never going to be able to have a calculator at all times and shit when you're out of school.
Yeah, we got told that
all the time. And guess what? I got a calculator every fucking place that I go.
It's in our fucking pockets.
Everywhere.
We have like one of the world's most powerful supercomputers on ourselves at all times.
And little did they know that AI was going to be such a big thing.
Oh man,
rip to that, you know, like. So my point is just like, man, anything in that category or those categories should just be mandatory anyway. And I know not everyone's going to pay attention to that shit, but the ones that do are going to benefit a hell of a lot more. You
Yeah,
know?
so that was my second thing that I was gonna say. I don't know why I had to see this on a TikTok for me to actually like snap to it in my mind, but someone said the reality of it is even if these classes like finances were taught, most kids wouldn't pay attention to that shit. Think about how boring it was to get on those YouTube videos and learn how to do all this shit. Kids aren't gonna fully pay attention to how insurance works. I barely have a fucking grasp on it. That's why I have to trust my insurance agent.
Yeah, but still, at the end of the day, like you have to understand that I hated school. All right, I fucking hated school. I
You
didn't want
piece of shit.
I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to draw. I wanted to paint. I wanted to sculpt. I wanted to take pictures. I wanted to make videos. I wanted to make music. I wanted to do all that shit, which, yes, you learn in school as well, but on a much smaller scale. Okay? However, like, for example, I hated math. All right? And I sucked at math. I was terrible at math. I still am to this day. But I still learned math in school, right?
Yeah.
I still learned it. Same with English. I didn't like English except for the discussions. I had an English teacher, Mr. Baldwin, one of my favorite teachers of all time. And he made English fun as hell. I mean, he made it so fun. He talked about stuff in greater depth than any of my other English teachers talked about. And it just made it more enjoyable for me to learn how English works, and all that kind of stuff. I still don't go out of my way to, like, love English, though, and I still would never have put myself in an English class if I could have helped it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, as boring as they are, especially math for me, and I know some people think that about history and shit like that, but I still learned. As much as I hated it, as much as I didn't want to pay attention, there was still a part of me that still digested a little bit of it in order to get through the classes, in order to get better grades and so forth. I still figured it out. And I think the same would happen if you had put mandatory classes like finances and taxes and insurance and shit like that within their own category of class and stressed the value of it as much as possible while still making it enjoyable for kids. And I know that all is dependent on the teacher themselves, but
Yep.
there's still a level of like, okay, I know my teacher's just saying this because they have to. At the same time, once you get out of high school, if you didn't pay attention to that shit, that's on you at that point. At least they tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And that is a huge part of it is the teacher is making the difference. When I am sitting in my classroom and I've like my classroom at college when I'm sitting around a bunch of other future teacher candidates and some of which are in history and then I hear some of them are in math and they're talking about making lessons. It's the most mind-boggling shit to me because I'm good at math, but I don't understand the value of it outside of like some mental math and percentages to know that kind of stuff. But I also at the same time know that if this person's passionate enough to go into teaching for it, I bet they will do well by the kids and help them understand it more than I ever could. That's why I went into English and did my thing instead.
right.
But also I had a sort of finance class called consumer economics.
Yeah, we had those
Shittiest
classes in our school, but they just weren't
shittiest
mandatory.
teacher shittiest teacher ever, and what she would do was just put us in front of a TV screen and make us watch Dave Ramsey videos, which didn't do a fucking thing for any
No.
of us. It wasn't actually teaching us anything, which is just a huge missed opportunity because that stuff is always becoming more important, especially as an adult. But yeah, understanding God, I wish we didn't live in a capitalist world where money was, or a capitalist country where money is the ultimate end goal for everything. But
Yeah.
that's part of what public schools are supposed to do is give you, by law, a free and appropriate public education, but one that is adaptive to everything changing in the world all the time. What the community needs from you, to be a citizen, to be a human being.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that it all comes down to the fact that yeah, there are going to be people that just don't pay attention. There's going to be kids that are just like, okay, yeah, fuck this shit. I don't care or whatever. But I still think that if they were to put them into a mandatory section, we'd have a higher percentage of people coming out with a better understanding on how that stuff works. There'd be less
Yeah.
need at the end of the day instead of all the need. We've got all the need right now for understanding this stuff because nobody fucking learns this shit in school unless you specifically take a class for it optionally. But there'd be a significantly less or smaller number anyway than there is now if they just baked them into an economics class that you just had to take. You know, it's just part of your credits or whatever. But I
I
don't know.
100% agree with you. And we're also living in a time now where it seems more than ever people are just getting pushed through the system. Whether you pass or fail doesn't matter. But if you're present and you're there, you don't even have to do that now. I know kids that graduated with not being in class a single day, not doing any of the work, and they're probably not doing so hot right now. But I don't know, that stuff really frustrates me. But yeah, I definitely agree with you that there needs to be more mandatory classes, even if they're not the fun ones, but more life skills,
Yeah.
at abstract thinking and shit like that that you can learn in English. Absolutely fantastic. But like, I only needed to take, I think, 3 science credits or something like that to graduate high school. And granted, I went on my own whim and did physics afterward just to have some extra. But like, that's a slot that could have been filled with an extracurricular that was or an elective that was way more helpful. I could have. I mean, I took a dual credit psychology class, but I think something like psychology and sociology would be
Yeah.
super awesome to have in high school. Learning how people work at a
Yeah.
time when you don't know how the fuck your own brain works is because you got hair growing in your ass. Like it's important shit.
Yeah, that's true.
What's happening to me right now is something I would have loved to have learned in high school that wasn't something that my parents had to try and teach me based off of what they went through.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is I agree with you with the, like psychology and just how that kind of stuff would help a ton of people out. I mean, especially with the mental health situation going on right now in the States. Like we got a bad situation going on right now, boys. Everybody's fucked up in the head right now, dude. Everybody's depressed or has ADHD or is autistic or a combination of the three or bipolar or whatever. And you know, it's sad because there's a lot of stuff that you know that's probably been going on for a long time, but because the U.S. doesn't fucking take it seriously, no one gives a shit, you know. And then now we're in this crisis where we're trying to give a shit a little bit more as we go, and people are becoming a little bit more open-minded to understanding that kind of stuff. But dude, if we had just taken that seriously sooner and taught a little bit more of that kind of stuff in school, probably wouldn't be this crisis, is all I'm saying. But who knows?
Hey, yeah. Mental health is a weird thing because right now, and this is a definitely a side tangent, but I'm seeing more and more. It feels like we'll just say the word mental health and we'll just talk about how we have mental health services now, but we're not actually going to fix the problem. We're
Yeah.
not going to do anything good for your mental health, but just know that we have paid for a resource that is available on this website link that you follow
Yeah.
rather than fixing the actual problem at hand.
Yeah. I.
Man, coping skills would have been a really cool thing to learn in like health class or something. Learning
Yeah.
about mental health in health class, can you imagine?
Whoa, dude.
No,
Yeah.
I want I gotta know other stuff.
I gotta know
I'm
how
trying
my
to think of something
sexual
stupid, but I don't
reproductive
remember.
organ works instead, which is
I mean,
obviously a
that's
good thing to
yeah.
learn. But come on, now we spent four. Okay, let's just say we took 4 weeks of health. All right, in the whole semester. 3 of those weeks are covering the penis. You know, like that
A lot
one
of
week.
penis to cover.
I know, and that one last week was like all the other health shit. You know what I mean? At least that's what it felt like to me. We only learned about that stuff in health class.
Hey, there are some people that are there's some dudes like 22 years old and they're just like, "You're telling me women have 3 holes? What are you talking about?" Pay
Dude,
attention in school.
yeah.
If your school is actually like teaching you the proper stuff.
And if you have access to it, take some fucking finance classes, dude. I'm telling you. I wish I would have done
Yeah.
it, but my whole high school career was doing my best to find the most fun classes I could take because I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to get out of there. I wanted to take the fun stuff, so the high school was not as bad, you know what I mean? Granted, I was going through a lot of depression and just teenage shit in general, but like I was taking classes which I loved, and I wouldn't have taken it back for anything, but I wish there would have been finances and social stuff and mental health classes and like stuff that teaches you all that kind of stuff that actually does matter out in the real world, because I would much rather have been a little bit restricted on my art throughout high school, come out of high school knowing the finances and social skills and insurance and all that kind of stuff, and been able to look up YouTube videos on art stuff instead. That would be so much more fun and exciting for me to do. Granted, in high school I excelled in art. Dude, I was put in art shows all the time in high school. But what does that give me here? Nothing. I can't put that on a job application, you know what I mean? Like,
it means you get to go to college and pay a teacher to gatekeep art from you.
Yeah. And
that's what college art programs do.
Dude, I went to college specifically so I could enhance my art stuff, because I was already good, but I wanted to be great, okay? And I didn't get any scholarships because I never applied for any. I never put myself there, in the position to get those. I was really good at art. Everybody knew I was, and I was in a bunch of art shows. That was pretty much it. But I was like, you know what? If I'm going to try college, I'm going to at least go for something that I want to go for, right? And I didn't have any understanding on how college worked because I didn't give a shit. And none of my teachers really explained a lot of it either. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go for art. Little did I know I needed to have like gen ed classes and shit in there. So by that point, I think my first semester of college, I was having to take a math class, an English class, and something involving art, like history or art, like something like that. So I took an art history class and then one art class. So in my mind, I'm thinking this is a waste of fucking time. 2 of my 4 classes have nothing to do with art, and I don't give a shit. So the first 2 days is the only 2 days I ever went to my math class. Stopped going to it entirely. After the first week, stopped going to my English class, and I was only showing up for art history and art. That's it. And they put me in Art 1 because I had no previous college credits, obviously. I was brand new to it and so forth.
Yeah.
And I even asked the lady that was helping me set my classes up, I was like, hey, is there any way I could get into like Art 3 or some shit? Because I don't mean to brag or nothing, but I'm kind of a big deal, you know what I mean? But no, I didn't say that. But seriously, like I told her I have like a really good understanding of the art basics. I will be fine going into these and shit. And obviously they're gonna say no, go fuck yourself. But when I started doing my art projects in my Art 1, my introduction to art class, the one class I had of the 4 that actually had anything to do with art, my teacher was like, dude, you should be in my Art 3 class. or even in my advanced art class or whatever. And I was like, well, you know what, Mr. Smith, I'm gonna tell you right now, I asked. I tried. And he was like, yeah, that's kind of weird. We should go talk to them and see if there's any way we could bump you up a little bit, because honestly,
not administration, they won't do that.
And they didn't. So I ended up just losing interest entirely, and I just didn't go, which is a shame because I would have loved to get into some more advanced art classes. That would have been fun for me. And you know what? It would have helped me better understand the art because I had already taken so many basic art classes in high school. I was already excelling at all that shit. And it was pretty much no different than an Art 1 high school class.
Yeah.
Completely useless.
Hey, listen up. Your gen eds, they're for high school because it's fucking mandatory. College is where you say, okay, I'd like to try to pursue something of my interest.
Mm-hmm.
If your interest is gen eds, by all means, go teach fucking middle school. I don't know. Like, keep that shit. We have learned it already.
Yeah.
And there's no point in redoing it when you've done it for the last 4 years.
Oh, it gets better actually, because the math class they put me in was a math that I had already taken twice.
Man, you suck at math.
I was so shit at math. And I told them this. I was like, look, I am terrible at math. So I don't know why I'm being put into this, because I don't have any desire to do any math. This is college, not high school. But
requirement.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't understand it. And they're like, oh, it's just required for your gen ed credits, and I'm like, well, I'm not here for gen ed. I'm here to learn art. Okay, so I guess bite me. And then when I started, okay, so I took my, or I waited till after my art class one day because I loved my art teacher. He was cool as shit. Like he was really cool. He let me do a couple of like side projects after school hours and shit like that in the classroom. Like I was able to use the room and the kiln. I made a cool plaque for my buddy and shit like that out of clay, and he let me just do like stupid shit like that sometimes, which was super nice of him, and I'm very appreciative of it. So I went to him after class one day and I was like, hey, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I really appreciate your class. I really appreciate what you've let me do and stuff like that, but I'm not really certain I'm gonna stick with this. I'm probably just gonna leave. I don't have any desire to be here. Not in your class, but I don't have any desire to do math. I don't want to do English. I don't want to do biology. I don't want to do all this shit, and I'm going to have to do all this stuff for my gen ed courses, even though I'm here to do art. And he's like, oh, I understand entirely, but I would hate to see you leave, you know? So he took me to this one, like, it was like a counselor or something of some kind, and they were trying their damnedest to get me to stay. And I'm going to be honest with you, dude. Talking to those counselors just made me want to leave more because they were just trying the most dog shit ass fucking like sideways stuff to get me to stay. And I'm like, nah, dude. Peace.
They want your money, bro.
Nah, I'm out. And I sure as hell wasn't going to take those classes, by the way. The ones that are required, even though you don't want to go do them, are the only ones that have textbooks. And do you know how fucking expensive college textbooks are?
Buddy, I know.
It's ridiculous, dude.
I know. I've got a stack sitting over in the corner. Every semester, I've got a full stack. I've spent at least a couple hundred.
You don't need a textbook for art classes.
Hey, sometimes you do. You'd be surprised. No. My wife had quite a few.
Fuck that.
Just full of penises learning about art history.
I mean, art history, I get it. But, like, just the hands-on art shit, you can learn without a textbook. You don't need a textbook for that shit. You
can learn all that with YouTube.
Exactly, which I do now.
You can figure it out for yourself. Yeah, it's crazy. The pretty much U.S. Education system. Another thing about specifically our education system, one of the classes I wish we had was more like culturally diverse classes. Like if there was, instead of I mean, you could incorporate this into home economics, but like some sort of food diversity class where you're making cuisines from other countries and you're learning about the countries through that. I had a stupid ass food project I had to do for my web design class last semester. And all I did, I watched FX's The Bear, and I learned more about Chicago just developing that whole project than I've learned at any other time. And it was fucking sweet. It's like being a part of another region and understanding that shit. Because we have such an egocentric system of making ourselves look like we're the best in this country. And I've done tons of other reading classes too. My Nations and Lit class that I've done in college, where we looked at Pacific Island stuff. It just it's like unlocking portions of a map in a video game.
Yeah.
Where you've got just a little piece now of this area that you've been to through reading someone else's fiction or nonfiction stories.
Yeah.
But we don't teach that. We got fucking Mark Twain and his frog of Calaveras County, and some dude putting fucking buckshot in this frog and making him not be able to jump. We're not learning anything from that.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I agree. The like whole culturally diverse situation is kind of hit or miss, especially in the Midwest. So I get it, but dude, come to the coast, man. I'm telling you, it's just a fucking melting pot of everything out here, and that's another reason why I prefer being here instead of the deeper South and of course the Midwest. Just it's a barren wasteland of white people. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. I wish I could join you. There's, I mean, my wife works as a dispatcher, and she has told me that they get calls because there was a black man walking through the streets of this town, just walking. And they were getting calls saying, what is this strange man doing? He must be dangerous, because that's how fucking
he's vibing,
diverse it is over here. It's crazy.
I know. It's crazy. I took a, this isn't quite that kind of culture, but it's I took a world religions class in high school just because it was cool. It was interesting to me, and I wanted to learn more about other religions, and it was cool, and I liked it. And my teacher, shout out Mr. Hartzog, you're fucking sick. I love you, man. But we because of the curriculum itself, like a third of it was about Christianity.
Yeah.
And like the many sects of Christianity, like sections and subcultures of Christianity and shit. I'm like, dude, no, no.
There are more religions in the world.
Yeah, and I did learn about a lot of different religions, but it's just a huge section on Christianity, and then the rest is other religions, and I'm like, dog, come on, man.
That would be a really good one though. Is like a non-biased. It's all gonna be biased because there's only so many areas you can cover, but like a very non-biased class over as many religions as you can cover, just to understand people's I guess religious faith or spiritual values,
right,
stuff like that. You might find yourself wanting to try one out. I shit on a lot of different religions, but I still love to learn as much as I can about any of them that I can before I start passing judgment.
Yeah, same. No, I make jokes about everything, not even religions specifically, but just everything. I don't ever mean anything by it. Teach their own, you know. I've always had the mentality of like, dude, do whatever the fuck you want as long as you're not hurting anybody. I don't give a shit, you know. And that's just how it is. And I think that just kind of pours over into diversity in general. Like you were talking about the whole like different cultures and shit. And that again, living on the coast, I already had a good experience with it before I moved back to the coast. I just moved a little bit further north, but that was one of the things I missed a lot when I moved to Iowa. It's just so closed off from the world. It's like 10 years behind everything else on the coasts, and it's wild to me. It's just wild. And being back on the coast, as obviously as expensive as it is, and obviously my 2024 hasn't exactly been swimming. I've gotten injured like 3 different times. I got laid off from my job. It's been a rough start to the year, not gonna lie, but it's cool.
Oh man,
to be
2025
back.
is gonna be my year, baby.
Yeah, 2025, maybe 2026. We'll see. But it's been good to just be able to go out into the street and see somebody that's not a straight white man walking down the road with a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just fucking wild. It's good. And all the food here, dude, the food is to die for, man. All different kinds of food, man. We got it made in New England. I'm not kidding you. It's got a lot of fucking shit that you can just absorb into your being, into your fibers and shit, and I love it.
I'm pretty jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude,
I am very jealous.
You and Lou need to get the fuck out here, dude. Even if you're just visiting, come and check it out with us, man.
You want to pay off our mortgage?
No, but I'll help you get out here.
Yeah.
For a vacay.
Maybe. Do you think we can get as lucky and have a neighbor that's gonna punch down a door?
I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up.
Sweet. We can and then we just got to get Toby out there, and we can make the Pizzaverse part 2.
Yeah, true. Or remake the Pizzaverse with a bunch of new like high-tech technology and shit.
That'd be hot. New gimbals all around.
New gimbals, new filming locations, new
Gimbals
access to actors.
Those like clip-on mics.
Hell yeah.
Get a boom. Get a microphone that's just taped to a broomstick, or taped to like my lamp that I have over here in the corner on the stick. Yeah. So we've got perfect lighting and audio at all times.
Hell yeah.
Just totally renovate. I will posit this to you, and I want to see how you feel about it. You probably know this already, being an adult, but curriculum is a huge thing, and it is based off. There are 2 huge influences for it. One of them is not sponsorship. What do I want to call it? Budgeting, I guess. The reason we have standardized testing, or at least the reason it started with the really shitty No Child Left Behind Act back when Bush was still president, was basically not representatives. People would come in from the state to schools to test every student on the exact same shit. Whether they have exceptionalities or not, you were meant to take this test, and your performance determines whether we give you funding or not. So, test scores that aren't relevant for most students
Yeah.
also affects the curriculum itself. And parents are another huge issue with, I won't say issue, they're another huge portion of it because you can you can have your heart and soul and all the research in the world to back you up to say, I am going to teach this book. I'm going to teach whatever this is. And you can have a parent come in and say, in the Midwest at least, you can have a parent come in and say, hey, why are you teaching my kids that being gay is okay? And it will shut you down instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
That's just dumb. Dude. I don't know. I don't get
Throw
it.
arms up, blowing my mind.
I'm blowing my mind, man. Dude, I don't know, man. It's just a fucking weird world we live in. I don't get
Yeah.
it.
We should just you should just go back to college and get a degree in education and then get a minor in every single subject so that you can teach all this stuff.
Honestly, dude, I would love being a teacher if I could teach whatever the fuck I wanted. Like if I
You
could,
can. That's what college is for.
no, without college. If I could teach stuff, if I could teach
That's
stuff
what YouTube is for.
that I wanted to teach, like if I was actually really passionate about it and I didn't have to sit through 20 fucking years of college and go into debt, I would do it. But yeah, exactly. YouTube's great, but I don't want to start an educational YouTube channel. That'd be a lot.
Yeah, especially
Plus,
with no degree.
the reason I say that about the teacher thing is because I like a classroom environment. I just don't like being on the learning end of it. I would rather be on the teaching end of it. I like teaching people stuff, and I like
That's
talking
crazy
to people.
because you and I are opposites on that, believe it or not. That's what I'm starting to realize is like I like going to class and learning. Getting up there and teaching it, I feel like a total fucking failure
Nah, dude.
every time.
I love teaching people stuff, and I like to be in an environment where I can just like banter with people back and forth and so forth. But that's pretty much it. I don't want to go through the whole fucking college thing just to do that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
power to everybody for being able to do that, absolutely. But it's not for me, you know.
Mm-hmm. This is probably the last thing that I'll say on this. It's not exactly a class, but something I think should be pushed more that you can do in every class is something that really focuses on lifelong learning skills.
Yeah.
The whole purpose, I won't say the whole purpose. Other people have different curriculums and different content areas, but part of my whole purpose with teaching English is giving students the tools they need to, once they graduate, still have a desire to go and learn for themselves and learn more.
Yeah.
Because you can't learn everything that you need to know in 4 years of high school when you're fucking 15 to 18 years old.
No.
You can't do it.
No. Especially at
But
that age too, dude. That's rough.
yeah,
15 to 18 is like the hardest years of a lot of people's lives, man. Like it's just so much shit going on, puberty, emotions happening, social skills
identity
being
crises.
yeah, everything is happening all at once, and it's damn near impossible to exist, let alone learn all of the stuff that you need to learn for adulthood, as well as all
Yeah.
that stuff. You know, it's like, dude, we got to figure something out. But no, I agree. Extended learning and just giving people the desire to want to know more as they get older, you know, it would be great. That'd be phenomenal. But
Yeah, there's kids that go through high school like yourself that just dread it every single morning knowing they're not going to get anything out of it and they don't have a desire to learn more because if you go through school and you hate school and you'll think that's all that school is, that you'll think that's all that schooling and education is. So why would you want to keep doing that if it was just absolute hell and misery for 4 years?
yeah, No, I agree. It's dumb. Hopefully, something will be figured out there. I mean, I don't know what that could be, but I think you're right as far as like just individual teachers being able to incorporate that stuff into their general education. You know, whatever they're teaching, giving the kids a some kind of desire to want to learn more about it is probably the best thing that they can do.
Yeah.
But
well, you know, when the president finds this episode of On Thin Ice and changes the policy on education in the United States, you know,
dude,
you're welcome.
Our president can't find his left hand, dude.
Yeah, with you with your 2 days of college and me with my associates of arts, we're obviously qualified to just to give all the life advice we possibly can.
I had at least a month in college.
All right, my bad.
But it was only a month of 2 classes for the most part.
My brother in Christ, you have to pass them all to get the associate's degree.
I know, and that's why I said, fuck this shit, I'm out. I'm gonna get the fuck up out of here.
This has been solid, and it's been thin.
It's been
solid
thin.
On thin ice.
Yeah, thin ice that's solid and also on.
Every Monday, baby.
What are we?
Every Monday, you better be here. Hit that sub button.
Every single Monday.
Add to the steadily incrementally increasing number of subscribers. I'm talking out my ass at this point.
I was gonna say, you want to try that again, Home Slice?
No, I don't. I'm sticking to it. If people don't get it, that's on them.
Maybe you should have learned more in school.
Yeah, maybe you should have. If you want to understand what the things I'm saying are, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, Jesus.
Get yourself some education. Don't pay an absurd amount for it. And until next time, find us on Instagram. We've got Reels. We've got Shorts now. We're technologically advanced at this point.
Shorts, Reels,
and we're going to keep
Instagram.
We're going to keep delivering content until Jacob stops taking what I say as a joke and he finally quits the podcast because I say it's stupid.
And then the show's gonna turn into On Broken Ice featuring only
Peyton.
It's just gonna be one webcam up on the screen instead of the 2 split with the nice backdrop and shit, because I'm gonna take all the assets with me when I leave.
It's just my monotone monologue for an hour straight.
It's gonna switch back to Bonnie banter real quick.
Yeah, I read off a script and I'm like, yeah, I bet that joke landed because I don't have you to laugh at it anymore. I just go about my business.
Nah, dude.
All right, this is a terrible long intro. Everybody, we'll see you next Monday.
Bye, guys.
You'll see us. Bye, everybody.